So here we move to the last part of this chapter. We have completed this page and we read about going to the museum. When they went to this museum in Hyderabad near Golconda Fort, they saw all sorts of pots and jewelry, and we go to museum or we keep these things from the past in museum so that we can learn about the people who lived then, how they lived, what things did they use, how did they make it, to find out all these things. Moving forward, it says what kind of, this is a question, it is in the right section. What kind of pots have you seen around you? So pots in which the utensils, if we talk about. So we have seen pots made of mud, then made of steel, iron, brass, bronze, glass, copper, crockery, the glass. Uh, then we also have seen the pots made of ceramic, if we talk about that. So by now you must have done the homework also, which was given to you to find out the colors of these three: brass, bronze, and copper. And if you haven't done it yet, do it so that you know how the utensils of these material look like, and you can differentiate between them. And the next question says, try to find out from your grandparents about the other kinds of pots and pans they used in their times. So instead of asking from your grandparents if they are living far away or so, you can ask your parents or any elders that you have in your home. You can simply ask them what kind of pots or utensils did they use in their time? What was it made of? Have you ever been to some museum or heard about it? What all things are there in a museum? If you have visited any of the museum, you can write yes. And what did you find there? What all things were collected there? Was it what museum was it? Was it a doll museum or a rail museum or a state museum or any museum that you went to? You just have to write the name of it and what did you find there. If it was a rail museum, you must find the earliest models of rails, and you'll find all the engines, and you may also find a toy train type of something in which you can uh, you can sit and get a tour of that museum or surrounding place. If you go to doll museum, you'll find all sorts of dolls, how the first doll looked like, where was that doll made, in which company, and which company has the record of making all sorts of dolls, something like this. Again, the next is survey and write. Survey means you have to find it and then you have to write it. You can ask these questions from your grandparents, parents, elders of your family, siblings, anybody who's elder than you. First question, is there any building or monument near your house which people come to see? If yes, name it. If there is a monument or a building which is very famous and people come to see it, you have to write its name, if there is. Next question, have you ever gone to see an old monument? Have you ever seen an old monument, a thing that has been built many years ago, maybe 500 or 200 or 1000 years ago? Which was that? Its name. Did you feel it told you a story? And like in the story we have heard, and the name also says that walls tell stories. So did you hear a story or did you find out a story about that place? Was some famous story attached to that place? What could you know about those times from it? And what could you make out how the people lived or what they used to do from that story? How old was it? How did you know? And that story and the monument, how old was it? And how did you know? आपको कैसे पता चला वो इतने साल it was this much old? So was it was did someone tell you that, or did you find it on the internet? You have to write that. What was it made of? What was the monument made of? What color was it? What color? Were there any special kind of designs on the old building? Draw them in your notebook. If you find any special designs, maybe you like you saw some designs on the stones, or on, if it had caves, you must see special designs on the caves or the doors or the walls. So if they were easy to make, you can make them in your notebooks. If it's not, leave them, or you can just look up for the pictures on the internet and you can see it from there. No need to draw it. Who used to live there in the olden days? For example, in the Golconda Fort, Qutub Shahi Sultans lived. Similarly, who lived in that old building or monument you visited? What kinds of activities took place there and what people used to do there? Uh, If we talk about this chapter, it was fort, and all whole of the town and the palace was inside that fort. So pretty much everything took place over there. And if we specifically talk about Golconda Fort, it was used to protect the town and the palace from enemies who would come to attack. Do some people still live there? And do some people still live in that old monument or old place that you have visited? So you have to write about that also. Make your own museum. Rajni teaches in a government school in Malappuram district in Kerala. Together with the children of her class, she has collected many old things from the all houses, like old walking sticks, locks, umbrellas, wooden slippers, khadao, which the priest of the temple usually wears, you must have seen. They also saw what these things look like today, and they also saw what these things look like today, how were they made in the past and how they look like now, or how are they made in the present. Rajni and the children put up an exhibition. They put up an exhibition. Exhibition means a show of things where you show the collected items to people. And usually this exhibition is, exhibition means you first time show these things to everybody. Not all have seen these things. So these people, Rajni and her students, they collected all these items and they showed it to the public for the first time. That is called exhibition, which people from the neighborhood came to see. You could also do this. So we can also do this. And once the school reopens, we can also do this thing with us. Look at the painting and tell. This painting is 500 years old. So the painting you will see on the left, it is 500 years old. It shows Agra Fort being constructed. So Agra Fort, which is in Agra, Uttar Pradesh. So it shows Agra Fort being constructed, means being made. So these many people, or how they used to make it, the all the techniques, some of the techniques you can see in this picture. What kinds of work are people doing? So they are lifting things up, they are taking the things to a higher level, they are digging something up. Some people are on horses back, they are also doing some work. So everybody is doing different work. See how how they are taking the huge pillar up along the slope. So how they are taking that. So they are transferring it to one person is transferring it to the second and second to the third. So that is how they are transferring it, or they are taking it up the slope. Is it easier to lift a heavy thing straight up or along a slope? So yes, it's easy to do it along a slope, because that in that way we feel that we don't have to take up all the energy also, because many people are taking it up. So the energy of most people will still remain. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि एक ही इंसान उठा के लेके जा रहा है, or only two people or only those four are assigned to take it up. So their energy is exhausted by the time it reached to the top or to the destination. So that's why it's a good idea to transfer a heavy thing when along a slope instead of taking it directly up straight लेने की बजाय उसको slope से लेके जाएंगे, it would be easy. Were you able to see the man carrying water in a mashak or leather bag? So seen we have also heard about mashak, which is the leather water bag, and what you have to do, you have to find that man who is taking this mashak along with him in this picture, and you have to circle it. What have we learned, or what we have learned? Sangeeta thinks it is useless to keep old things in museum. How would you convince her that it is important to have a museum? So why is it important to have a museum? Simple, because we get the idea of how the people in those times lived, and also we can say that these by having museums we get a good source of internet. For example, if we have to plan a trip or something, if we have to go somewhere, we usually decide on going to a park or a zoo or a museum. So yes, it is a good source of entertainment, because in museums things are kept in a way that they amuse people, ताकि लोगों को उनको देख के मजा आए. So they are made interesting, they are made to look interesting, and they are arranged in such order that it people find it more interesting and amusing to see. Also, museums, because all the things that are kept there, they are either from the past or they are unique. They are one of a kind. So it also helps in further studies. जो भी research करनी होती है उस topic में, it helps in that. Then if some tourists come to your area, so it's the main attraction, means they have this on their list that they'll visit this museum, because from museums they'll get to know more about the city. So it is a big attraction, or the main attraction for tourists visiting the place. And also it is a very good source of knowledge, which means we can gain knowledge about the past from that, and how can we move forward, or what techniques can we take from the past and inculcate in our lives, take them up in our lives to make it easier or effective. So next question says, why do you think the chapter is named Walls Tell Stories? So we have read the whole chapter, we have understood it. So you can think and write it on your own. Why do you think this chapter is named Wall Tells Stories? And did we find any story in this chapter which was told by the walls of Golconda Fort? So I've given a big hint to you all. So you have to write what is the reason, or why do you think this chapter is named Walls Tell Stories. That's it for this chapter.